everyone, Jess here from the Scrappy Sisters. So I am going to be creating a super cute little coffee cup and holder that you could give as a little gift. I was thinking these would be perfect for sort of workmate gifts or teacher gifts. They're really cute. So I started off with a 12 by 12 piece of paper, but you need to cut that down to 12 inches by 9.5 inches. And this is using a small coffee cup that I got from a certain fast food outlet that I'm sure you could all read on the outside of the packaging. I am in no way affiliated. I just had a coffee there and asked for an extra cup. So that is it. So the first score mark you need to do is at the 1 inch part. If you've got a scoreboard, at your 1 inch mark. If you're like me and you don't have a scoreboard, I'm writing down the sizes of each section, and then next to that with the equals sign, I'm writing down where that would be on your scoreboard if you do have a scoreboard. So your first score mark was at 1 inch, your next score is at 3.5 inches. Your third score is at 6 inches. Your fourth score, oh, I messed that one up. Whoops, my bad. Oh, did I mention you should have the 9.5 inch at the top? That should be along the top edge. I know I wrote it on the piece of paper, but if you weren't watching. And then your last score is at 8.5 inches. So those are the measurements there written down. So now you're moving to your 12 inch side, so having that along the top line, and your first score this time is going to be at 1.5 inches. Your next score line will be at 4 inches. And your last mark, your last score line is at 5 7/8. No, that's the size of it, sorry, which is at 9 7/8 inches. Now that last final score line is really only if you're using pattern paper that is white on the back side. If you've got double-sided pattern paper, you actually don't need your pattern paper to be as large as I have made it. You could have it, shorter. You'll see, I'll explain that a bit better when you see what I'm doing. So next you need to cut off the bits you won't be using. So this T shape is the shape you do want. So you can see there what I've cut out. And those are trash. And then there's a few more cuts to make. You're going to cut along that score line and that score line. So cut, and then you're actually going to cut out a little slither, a little wedge, which I'm just drawing in to show you. I thought you don't need to draw it on with pen. I just thought that made it clearer for you to be able to see. So you're just cutting a little wedge out there. It just helps with the fold to not have too much paper hanging around. And then there's one more cut we need to do, and I'm going to get my guillotine back just to make sure I am measuring the correct size. And I just pointed to which part of this T you're cutting. It's the same section that you just cut the wedge from that you're going to be cutting. And you're going to be cutting at 1.25 inches. So just to make that only 1.25 inches high instead. And then that's the whole thing you need to make your box. So folding everything in, fold, fold, fold. So that top little fold over there, that's because I want to hide the plain white paper. If you've got double-sided pattern paper, you could actually just cut that flap off and you wouldn't need it at all. But I liked being able to see the green above the coffee cup and not seeing white paper above the coffee cup. Again, you'll see that a bit clearer once I've finished making the box. So just putting some double-sided tape on the inside tags and then on the two tags that will wrap around at the back. I will link in the description box below the person who inspired this idea. So there, see, if you didn't have that flap, you would see white. So I wanted to see coloured pattern paper. So I will link in the description box below the person that inspired this. She has got measurements on her page, but they are not for a standard size coffee cup. They're for a little mini one, which I didn't have. So I had to use her basic template and work out the correct sizes for myself. And it took quite a few goes. Now, if you have a punch, that would obviously be easier, or you could have put that through the die machine before folding it into a box. But this is, again, the first time it was actually successful in the correct sizing. So I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted a circle there yet, but I do, because I want to be able to hold it up there. It's like the little handle. So I'm just popping a ribbon on to make that looks pretty. So I'm up to embellishing now. The box is done. Obviously it will get prettified, but the box itself is created. So I just cut out this gorgeous red gauzy ribbon, organza maybe. And I do then to secure that ribbon in place and in the right direction with some Tombo's mono glue. And I just pop that aside for a little while because I'm now going to work on the coffee cup itself. Now, the beauty of this particular coffee cup is it comes with this sleeve that I obviously don't want because I don't want to advertise this company, but it's the perfect size. So I can just trace it and cover it with my own sleeve. So that was perfect. So I don't have a template or measurements or anything for this coffee cup sleeve. I just traced around the one that was already on it. So I'm going to use this gorgeous poinsettia paper that is from a reject shop pack. And I'm also going to emboss this paper just like the sleeve is currently. I just really liked that idea. I liked the thought of having some texture on it. Now, I don't have many embossing folders. In fact, I've only got 3. None of them are Christmas related. 2 of them were really flowery and floral, and I didn't think that suited my mood and feel for this layout. So I end up going for a spotty one, which I think works really well because there's spots and dots and things within that pattern paper. So I'm actually really happy with that. Now, you might be wondering, how am I going to do this? It's too big to fit in the entire sleeve, but that's okay. No big deal. So I'm going to pop this end through first. Oops. Silly me, forgot to take the extra board out that you need for die cutting, but you don't need for embossing because the embossing folders are such thick plastic. And then I'm going to run it back. And then I'm going to put only as much as hasn't been embossed yet into the folder and pop that back through as well. And back again. And you can see there is a little bit of a double up where it's crossed over, but it looks pretty good. I'm not too phased about it. So cutting out this sleeve now, and you can see there on the white side how beautifully embossed that looks. It's really quite subtle on the black side, but it's gorgeous. I really like it. So remembering with your embossing folders, there's sort of a positive and a negative. Think about that when you're putting your piece of paper in. Do you want the bumps out? Do you want the bumps in? There's no right way or wrong way to do it. I chose to have my spots going in. No real reason, just did. I don't even think I consciously chose that. Just make sure you keep them the same though when you flip to the other side. It'd be a bit funny if half your paper had embossing in and the other half had embossing out. So I'm just attaching that with double-sided tape. You could use your hot glue gun, but I didn't want to wait for it to get heated up. I just wanted to get it on, get it going. So, beautiful, looking good, putting my lid on. Oh, I want a circle to cover up that top. So again, I'm going to pull out my die cutting machine and cut a little circle, and then I'm adhering that to the top of the cup using the Tombo's glue again. Now, when I glue this on, I deliberately chose to make it quite a big circle so I could glue it to the rim, because the underneath that is not 100% flat. There's a dip in it for where you put your mouth on. So I thought it'd be easier to glue it to an even surface. So now I'm going to embellish the front of my box. So I pulled out these gold stickers. They came from Kmart and they're awful. They look cute, they look great, but they're not cut properly, and so you can't just peel them off. And so I fiddle with these for quite a long time. So I'm going to jump ahead to the end because it took me for ages. And this tag was too big, so I'm just chopping off the bottom of the tag and rounding the corners again, because I still like the idea of a tag. I think the tag is cute. And of course, if you're going to have a tag, I think you need to put a thread on it. So I'm just grabbing a little thread. I contemplated getting white and gold twine out of my cupboard, but the white one was just right there, so I decided to use white instead. And the poinsettias have white in them, so, there's my excuse for why I was being lazy. So I'm just attaching that to the front of the box with double-sided tape. And then I've got a little felt Christmas tree that I pulled from my stash. I've had it for quite a while. Not a clue where it came from, but it's cute. So I'm going to adhere that to the front of the box as well, again using the Tombo's glue. And quite a decent amount, because I really want to make sure that's going to stay on, and I wasn't sure how well it would stick. But it does, it sticks beautifully. So that's the front of my box done, and now I want to embellish the top. Oh, sorry, it's not the front of my box. I pulled out my enamel dot rhinestone pearly bin here. Now, in my opinion, this is a dreadful way of storing your enamel dots, because if they're not in their current packages, they just fall off. So in the future, I'm going to leave all of my enamel dots in their real packaging, and I think I might even just put them on a big ring binder, because I'm finding them in that way, they're just getting messy, they're falling off, they're losing their stick, hence why I'm using the Tombo's glue again to adhere them, just to make sure they stay. And yeah, it's really not a good way to store them, in my humble opinion. So that's the front of my box done. So now I want to work on my lid. So I pulled out a reject shop collection that I purchased this year, but it's actually from last year, and it is so cute. And the reason why I wanted it is because it has these sort of coffee cup or hot chocolate cup, and it's got a muffin and things that are sort of hot chocolate or coffee related. Because you don't see me actually what I do with this. I create it and I make it, but you don't see it with anything inside it. So tune into Katie's opening video to see what I put in there. But my thoughts are that you could fill it with lollies, you could put in a hot chocolate mix, so a little bit of hot chocolate, some marshmallows, or you could make some homemade cookies and pop some homemade cookies in a tea bag in there. Totally up to you what you would put inside, but something super cute would be nice. They wouldn't use the cup, but the packaging is cute. And originally when I stuck that green circle on, I deliberately left a little mouth hole open because you could put a nice coloured icicle stick in it, or if you've got one of those larger hold coffee cups, you could put one of those cute stripy straws in the hole, just because it looks nice. Just all about the embellishing. But in the end, I really want to put this saying across the top, the warm wishes, and so I decide to cover the mouth hole anyway, because I really want that on there. And because it says warm wishes and there's hot drink there, I actually pull out the snowflakes and the beanie. Even though we don't have winter Christmas, I just thought it was cute. So then I'm going to adhere these onto the top, and so I use double-sided tape on the coffee cup and on the beanie, and I pop up the snowflakes and the warm wishes with some double-sided foam. And then it is complete, and I'm so happy with it. So make sure you tune into Katie's video to see what I choose to pop inside this. But as I said, I think they'd be really awesome, workmate gifts or teacher gifts from your kids at school. anything like that, just little simple things for almost like gifts for people that you don't really give gifts to, if that makes sense. Because you could buy a nice collection of tea bags and then just put one in each one, and that's easy and done. You could make some homemade cookies and put them in a little cellophane bag and put those inside, and that's done. And really, even just putting those two things inside is enough to be a cute little present. If you were super excited, you could do one of those chocolate spoons. You know when you get a spoon and you put chocolate on it and like some sprinkles on top? That would be so cool. Anyway, you guys can think of the amazing things you could fill it with. As I said before, you could just buy a bag of lollies and fill it with lollies. It's awesome. Who doesn't love lollies? Put some chocolate balls in there. Beautiful. So this is it. It is finished. So here is a close-up. I think it's so cute. I was really happy with how this turned out. And all from a little cup that you get for having a coffee. How easy is that? Please note, this is not the one I actually drank out of. I asked for a spare. And you can buy them yourself as well, though, because if you're going to do them for teacher gifts, you can't really go to a place and ask for 6 coffee cups. But yes, I'm really happy with this. So here are a few photos. I think it is so cute. And I hope you like it too. I hope you are enjoying our Advent Calendar series and that you check back on our 2017 and 2016 ones. This is our 3rd year now, and I can't wait for next year already. I love December. I love Christmas. I hope you like this one. I hope you're liking this year. Keep hopping along and stay tuned for another video tomorrow. And we'll be back to our normal scrapbooking videos in January. So catch you soon. Bye, guys.